Hi, everyone. I just wanted to spend a couple minutes talking a little bit about relapse. So, I work with a lot of addiction populations, and relapsing is hard. But unfortunately, slips and relapses can be a really big part of the recovery process. So, a lot of times, people supporting someone in addiction, they have a hard time accepting this. Um, but it is that slips and relapses, they usually start a few days, if not weeks, prior to the actual relapse. There's also different forms of relapse. There's a behavioral relapse, which can be quite obvious. So, this is when someone relapses and gambles, relapses and starts drinking or using drugs again. So, relapses can be behavioral, they can also be emotional. And so, I've worked with people that have had 20, 30 years of recovery. And as you get more comfortable in recovery, the more that time goes away from the behavior, people will say, I have emotional relapse. And this is when you start to think the way that you were when you were in addiction. And so sometimes people will say, just using the gambling example, like, I could test my personal control, or what if I just started buying raffle tickets or scratch tickets? It's the lesser of an evil. So a lot of times we'll have a specific emotional relapse, or it can be not taking care of our mental health. And so, if I start isolating and keeping secrets and not being honest, if I have a gambling problem, then an emotional relapse would be me pulling back, me being dishonest, me not talking about the way that I'm feeling. So that can kind of set me up for a behavioral relapse. So, a lot of times, if you're a support person or a person who's struggling, you want to look for behavioral cues. So, changes in behaviors, actions, routines, things like that. Emotional cues. So, changes in mood. And we don't want to accuse someone of gambling just because their mood drops, but we want to be very curious. You seem distant, you seem low, you seem really nervous, like what's happening. So, invite the conversation in, but there can be a lot of emotional cues. There can be cues with time. And so, missing time, time unaccounted for, or also financial cues. I really think that these are so important to watch, especially if a person struggles with gambling. And so, missing money, somebody asking for money, and you're thinking, will they work? Or they usually have some sort of income. So, behavioral, emotional, time, and financial cues are things that we can look out for if we're feeling them and experiencing them, or if we support someone in recovery. It's also about accepting that slips and relapses are part of the process. Otherwise, addiction and addictive behaviors would be so easy to kick, right? And so we have to understand that our brain and body have adjusted to welcome this behavior in. It's going to be really hard to say that I'm not going to do this forever. That's one thing that I oftentimes challenge my clients is to set mile markers. So it's not enough to say, I'm never going to gamble again. I'm never going to drink again. Set small, medium, or large goals to actually work towards, and be open with your support people about that. I really want to step away from drinking for 3 months. I really don't want to gamble for a year. And so these are mile markers that give us a sense of reward to work towards and then to accomplish. And I think that as humans, we need to feel rewarded and as though we're working towards something. And I think that's especially important for those in addiction because they don't oftentimes see or feel successful. See success, I should say. So, slips, relapses, part of the process. What to do if somebody's relapsed? Listen, support them, encourage them to get support. The biggest thing about relapse is we can learn a lot where the holes in the recovery plan are. And so, if so and so just relapsed, then what kind of access to money do they have? And maybe we need to start to restrict how much they have or what they can transfer, things like that. If somebody drinks and alcohol was in the house, maybe we have to set a boundary that no alcohol can be in the house right now. And so if we trace the steps back after someone's relapse, say, how did this happen? When did it start? We can actually start to put more boundaries in place or more changes to make it difficult to do in the future. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of education on that. And that's all for now.